morning. My name is Jennifer Baker, and today you have joined a fantastic webinar, the webinar of Introduction to Email Marketing. So we're going to spend about 45 minutes together today talking about the benefits of a fantastic tool that I love, and my colleague Vish, who is also on the call, knows that I love so much as well, is email marketing. And the tool that we use in-house is Mailchimp. So a little bit about us. I own and operate JBC, a digital marketing agency here in Kingston. So we are going on 13 years of operations. Vish has been with us for 2.5 years. She will be monitoring the chat and making sure that I get all the questions, and then keeping me on track sometimes is part of the issue. So feel free to connect with us online if you haven't done so already. I do recognize a lot of the names in the chat. So thank you for coming out today. Thank you for attending. You will receive a copy of this recording later today, if not tomorrow. So what we're going to talk about, as many of you know, I am a teacher at heart. So today, the different things that we're going to be talking about are effective email strategy. Why should you use it? What's the importance of it? What is a contact list? What is an audience? What are these words? How to do a campaign. And then for those of you who do have any e-commerce, and I'm just looking at the list of people I do know, and it looks like a lot of you, at least one is e-commerce, and a lot of you are service-based. So there will be a little e-commerce component, but it can also apply to services as well. So before I get started, how many of you currently do any sort of email marketing? So there's lots of tools out there: Mailchimp, Constant Contact, Square, Wix. You can do a lot of email marketing. Does anyone do anything currently? You can just do a thumbs up, thumbs down, yes, no. Okay, so Christine Campbell, expert physiotherapist, does. Wendy Harris, admin assistant, virtual admin assistant, no email marketing. Anyone else? We got one yes, we got no, we got 50-50 at this point. Sandy, so Sandy's out towards Bath. She runs a retail shop out there. Chris does, yes. Loveland, yes. Wendy doesn't have her own email list, but she helps her clients with it, so that's good. So you do have experience. Colette does. Fantastic. And then for those of you who are new to me, what do you do? Tell me what you do. So many of you I do know, but there's some new names and new faces. So just let me know what you do, and then it helps to frame the training. All right, so why do I love email marketing? Number one, effective communication. And you'll see bolded, it's more effective than social media. It can be more effective in acquiring new. It can be more effective in retaining. And why do you think this is? Why do you think email marketing might be a bit better than social media? So better than maybe Instagram or Facebook. Why do you think that is? Everyone's afraid. They're afraid of the teacher. It's okay. More captive audience. That's a really good one, Wendy. It is a captive audience. Christine, people have specifically signed up to receive it. Yes, which is great. No algorithms to fight. Yes. Yes. And those are really good answers. And that's a big piece of it. And the signing up piece is what catches people. And I'll talk about that in a bit. But those points are fantastic. So people have signed up for it. It's a captive audience because now this message has popped into the inbox. It's popping up on their phone. It's saying, hi, Wendy, here's our new workshops at JBC. Even if Wendy doesn't even open it, she's aware that there's new workshops, and maybe she'll revisit that in a little bit. Whereas on Facebook or Instagram, you post and you hope the algorithm serves it to us. You hope your clients go onto Instagram to see a story that you did about it. So it's a little bit different. So just like Christine said, people sign up for the emails. And I find that there's sometimes some hesitancy. Maybe it's imposter syndrome, but clients will say, or maybe that people that I'm talking to in a workshop, they'll say, but I don't want to bug people. And they feel almost like an ick about sending out email marketing. They say, I don't want to bother people. I don't want to bug people. And I say, well, these people have signed up to get information about your products, your services, what's happening. So it's not an ick. They've given that permission for you to do that. And you know what? If they don't want to receive it anymore, provided you're following Canada anti-spam legislation the way it should be, they can just unsubscribe. No hard feelings. Maybe they get their information in another way. Maybe they, check you out on LinkedIn or on YouTube or however else you provide information. So no hard feelings. They've signed up to get it. If they don't want it anymore, circumstances have changed, they'll just simply unsubscribe. Okay, so don't feel ick. Email marketing has the potential to build those good relationships as well because of the ability to tailor and customize any and all of the messages. So you can use tools like merge tags. So merge tags allow people the option to say, hi, Jennifer, you're getting our newsletter because, so you can customize the messages depending on the information people have given you. So now it's not simply, sending a social media message out into the world, you're customizing a message. And not only that, you can organize your audience in certain groups as well, which we're going to talk about later. So if you have 500 people, maybe 200 people use, I'll say, physiotherapy services, and 300 people use, the workshops for other purposes. You can divide them based on the services that they use, based on the products that they purchase. I see Sandy's question. I'll get to it in a moment. It also has the ability to influence purchases. So one of the beautiful things about email marketing, because it can be so custom, it might say, hey, Jennifer, it's time to book your appointment with us. And then from there, you provide links so I can book with you. Maybe it says, hi, Vish, here's our new jeans for spring 25. And then I've included links so you can go look and purchase the jeans or the denims that we have. It really helps influence that purchase decision because now it's custom to that individual. And it's right at their fingertips. You've customized it. There's other little pieces in there that I'll touch on in a bit, but it's really, really great for that purchase or booking system. The other part of it is driving traffic back to your website. So if you've read our newsletter, which many of you have, you know that we put blogs in there and that directs us back to the website. So you see a lot of newsletters potentially doing this. So you're probably going back to a website to read a blog. Maybe you're going to book an appointment with a practitioner. Maybe you're going to make a purchase. But a lot of them will lead back to the website kind of as that home that the company wants you to be on, or that base. So it does have that really strong pull to drive that traffic back to your website. Okay, so I want to answer Sandy's question. So in the chat, Sandy said, I have email marketing from Shopify. Do you think it's better to run email marketing through Mailchimp? So pros and cons to this. So for those of you who do e-commerce, some of you have, practitioner portals. Sometimes it's through CRM service providers. There are usually add-ons that you can do email marketing. What my clients often find is there are limitations. So the Shopify one is good. It's already probably integrated with what you're currently paying for the subscription, but it won't do everything that maybe you want to do. If you just want a very simple newsletter to go out, Sandy, once a month to say, here's our new products, and that's it. That's probably, you could use the Shopify email marketing. If you want to get into more tailored marketing, segmenting your audiences, using more dynamic products, then you're going to have to transition to Mailchimp. So depending on how much you want to use, how much customization you want to use, you might see yourself using a program like Mailchimp or Constant Contact to get those additional features. Okay. Okay, so Chris, Salesforce Engage, our platform is limited to 200 emails per day. So I'm assuming you could probably buy a larger package and then you can send potentially more emails, maybe. I feel with Salesforce. What's the Pardot? Is that there? Or have they transitioned away from that? I feel like it used to be Pardot. I don't know. Chris can. But you're right. There are sometimes the boundaries that they or gatekeep a little bit. But that said, there are integrations that Shopify will speak to Mailchimp, and then you can transfer customer data. Yeah, back and forth. Pardot is very expensive. I had a client using that at one point, and it was a lot, and it's almost clunky from what I remember using it. If it's still not the greatest user experience, yeah. So, and I don't get into I don't have in the presentation options for what's good, what's not good, but we use Mailchimp. It works really well for the majority of our clients, but make sure you find something that works best for you. So I don't want you to just, go out and sign up for Mailchimp because you're on this webinar and that's great. But make sure you find something that works well for you. So I know Christine, our physiotherapist on the call, you have like a back end, health system. So maybe there's already an email marketing function in there. What are the pros and cons of it? Maybe it's fine for what you want to do, but maybe if you want a little bit more services, it's finding that add-on tool that's going to work best for you. And it may be Mailchimp, it may not be. Okay. So this is not like a promotional Mailchimp webinar, but it's something that we use. And then our clients are very comfortable using as well. Oh, perfect. You use Mailchimp and it integrates with Jane. Perfect. That's great. Oh, I do get into providers, our discussion. We get into providers. So we've already talked about it a little bit. We're going to talk about audience and segments, which I have mentioned those words before. We're going to talk about the difference between campaigns and journeys, best practices, and then looking at the analytics. So one of the conversation pieces about getting an email provider is things are no longer free. So this is where you start to decide, do I want to keep it free? Keep it to a free channel? Do I want to start paying for it? What's my budget for this? So Mailchimp is free up to 500 contacts. You get one audience, sign up forms, landing pages, and surveys. And it integrates pretty well with the majority of the providers. I don't go through apparently many of the other benefits, but the other ones, there's pretty much no free options at this point. So it very much is a pay to play. If you do happen to stumble upon a free email system, you'll find very quickly you're limited. So I always caution people to do your research because it's a lot harder to set something up and then go, oh, this doesn't work, and then have to move over to something else. Wendy probably knows this as like a virtual assistant, to set something up and then realize, 2 months down the road, oh, we've already outgrown this. And now we either have to pay more than, or we have to change a system. Okay. All right. So your audience and segments. And maybe this is kind of the nerd in me a little bit, but I love this. I love organizing information. So audiences, at one point, it was recommended to have multiple lists. And maybe this is probably about 10 years ago, where if you listen to anyone in the digital marketing field, they were like, have your lists and multiple lists and different lists. And it's less about that now and more about having an audience and your contacts, and then organizing your contacts. So each contact that you have is organized by tags. So for this group here, so everyone on the call, if you signed up for my webinar, you're now tagged in Mailchimp as, what's the name of this webinar? Introduction to Mailchimp. And that's how it's organized. So it's not a separate list of you, it's you're tagged on a contact. So I can see every webinar that you've come to. Okay. So your contact is the individual name, audiences are groups of contacts. And we're getting away from multiple lists, unless you've got hundreds and thousands of contacts. So when you're building an audience, and I want to say, Fish will probably correct me on this, but I feel like this is in the last month or so. There's people still familiarizing themselves with Canada anti-spam legislation. So we're going to go through that a little bit. Start as soon as possible. So maybe you've never done a newsletter list yet. Start today, tomorrow. You can use existing contacts, but I'll talk about that. And then the concept of a lead magnet, which we'll talk about. So let's talk about the Canada anti-spam legislation first. Has anyone heard about this? Okay, so we've got a couple nodding. Okay. So Canada's anti-spam legislation, or CASL, is basically the permission to get people on your newsletter list. And now I'm really trying to think of who it was that I was speaking to, but they had said to me, oh, I know who it was now. They said to me, they're like, oh, I don't have an email list, but I have an Excel file of anyone who's come to talk to me for the past like 15 years. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, does that work? And I said, no, that doesn't work. Because you need to have a record of consent. And sometimes that record of consent can be verbal. So as simple as, yes, please reach out and contact me. And that's something, a communication you might hear in sales a lot. The consent could be an existing business relationship. So there is, a purchase made, there's consent there. Implied consent can be valid up to 2 years or 6 months, depending on the process. So where people get into trouble is they go around and they, take emails off of websites. And at one point, people thought that you could do this. They thought, oh, if it's on the website, I can just take emails and put it into Mailchimp and that's fine. No, there's been no consent whatsoever. But if you've spoken to someone, there's been an exchange of a business card, maybe a proposal, something, that's usually implied consent. And there potentially can be a record to that. So oftentimes you'll see this at trade shows, networking events, there's the box and everyone puts their business cards in, and then somehow you're magically on a list. There's that implied consent in there. They may not explicitly be telling you, hey, we're going to add you to a newsletter list, but that's what's happening. Now they have a record that you were there, that you participated, and that's their record that they have. There's also the type of consent to the type of messages that you're using. So is it through, typically it's email or SMS. Those are typically the main ones that we see. And then there's also the question of, is it commercial or promotional information in this email? And the difference between that is, if you're working, so I'm going to use Chris. I haven't talked to you in a while, Chris, so I'm assuming you're in sales. I can't remember what part of sales you're in, but I'm assuming you're in sales. You can tell me to correct me. What are you up to these days? I'm going to pick on Chris today. Building material. Okay. That's probably where you were last time. Okay. So Chris is in sales, doing building material. He's made a sale, and now Chris can contact the person and provide a receipt, provide the invoice, and that's fine. So those are transactional. But if that person said, Chris, don't add me to your email list, I don't want that stuff, Chris still has the opportunity to send anything related to the order. So including that receipt, invoice. Maybe there was like a manufacturer recall on the building material that was sent. You can still contact that person through email or SMS regarding that purchase decision. But for Chris to say, hey, we have 50% off screws, Thursday only, that's a no-no. So transactional versus promotional. So same thing could go for Christine, the physiotherapist. Maybe there was, you're promoting a new workshop, and then also they were a client, but maybe What would be a transactional? What could be a again, receipts, invoices. So maybe I'm a client of hers and I say no to promotional emails. So I don't get anything about our upcoming workshops, but I do get all of my receipts and invoices. So there's a difference there. So it's a difference in communication. Yep. Appointment reminders also are perfect as well. That's a good example. The third part of it is what the message actually includes. So that's your business name, mailing address, phone number, email, website. And there are some businesses out there that don't want to put their physical mailing address. So maybe you have a PO box that works better, but it does need to contain that information. So if you're using a program like Mailchimp or similar, usually this is found right at the bottom in the footer section. Kind of all the respective email marketing has something that looks like this. But it gives customers control about how they can unsubscribe. So all of these at the bottom, they kind of look like they don't make sense. This current year list, they all kind of look a little bit suspect. Those are all the merge tags, excuse me, related to your account. So the current year, what list you're on, the list description, and then how you can unsubscribe. So you don't have to do this reply to this email with the word unsubscribe. That's a no-no. You can't do that. You have to have the ability that they can just unsubscribe on their own. Oh, so Wendy. So for those of you who don't want to provide their actual maybe home-based business, you can get free flex address through Canada Post if you don't want to list. So maybe contact Wendy. She can help you through that. That's not a me thing. That's a Wendy thing. Okay, so now that you're set up on Mailchimp or similar, we've gone through Canada Anti-Spam and how to get people on your list a little bit. The next step to getting people on your list is integrations. And I love integrations because they do things automatically in the background for you. And this is why I say make sure to find an email system that works best for your system. So integrations, and I'm just going to bring it up because I have it on my other screen. Discover. Okay. Just give me a thumbs up. I'm going to ask Wendy for a thumbs up to see that you can see this. You can see this okay? Yeah. Okay. All right. So when you're looking at getting started, and this goes for anything, so it can be like a new bookkeeping software, it can be HR, it can be project planning, make sure it works best with your existing systems. So in here, so I'm in Mailchimp, these are all the integrations. So we've got Meta, we've got Zapier, we've got WooCommerce and Shopify, and it goes on and on and on. So do your research. So if you use, so Chris uses Salesforce. Let's see. Okay, so there is a few options in there. Again, they may or may not work for your needs, but it could bring over data. So if that means if people have already said to Chris, yes, please add me to your list, it's going to take all those yeses and bring them over to Mailchimp automatically because it's already given that explicit permission. Same goes for anyone using Jane, Shopify, WooCommerce, and have you. Okay. So the integrations exist for that. It can be, actually, let's just look over here. It can be anyone, I don't know why it's jumping. Bookkeeping, scheduling. So there's Jane, there's Calendly. There's a bunch that I haven't heard of as well. Open Table. I don't know if we have any restaurants on the call today. So again, it's figuring out what works best with your system. So depending on the integration, it will bring over a lot of information, or sometimes it just brings over a little bit, depending on the agreement that those two companies have. Okay. I love that there's a little networking happening in here. This is great. All right, the next part is your sign-up form. So these are those sign-up forms you see on websites when you go to them. The ones that pop up automatically are a little bit annoying, but you can set parameters depending on the person's action. So they don't always have to show up immediately. And you think, how am I supposed to, why would I sign up? I don't even know what this website's about. So you can control how quickly or slowly these pop-ups appear and where they appear or the different actions that people take on your website. So with respect to sign up forms, try not to ask too much information. This is kind of enough because and I know if once companies start asking, okay, what's your date of birth and what's your favorite color? We're like, no, 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 I'm not filling this out. This is too much. Yuck. So sometimes you might even find people just put in an email and that's it. So making those fields not required. Make sure it's on your website's headers, footers, contact pages as well. This is a piece that a lot of people forget. They say, oh, I have a pop-up. I don't need it anywhere else. You know what? Put it on your footer. You never know who's going to sign up. It doesn't have to be as robust at this. Again, it could just simply be an email that you're collecting. So it could be a header, a footer, a contact page. And then your lead magnets. And this was a trendy word probably 5 years ago, but hey, I'm going to bring it back. But basically, a lead magnet is you're giving people something in exchange for their email. So that something could be a free 15-minute call. It could be an industry report. It could be a white paper. It could be a recording of a webinar that you did on your topic. So it could be a discount code, which is something I'm sure everybody has seen. They've gone to a website, hey, put in your email for 10% off. Okay, like that just seems to be the standard. But those are all lead magnets. So what asset can you give away for free to get that email? What's that email worth to you? And it can be a whole host of things, or it could be one kind of exclusive thing. For me, I do a lot of events on Eventbrite. Surprise, you're here today. So when people sign up, they get added to my email list. So that's initially how I grew my list, primarily during COVID, actually, when everyone went online. So I did garner a lot of attention that way. So you can do the same thing as well. So if your service offering offers webinars or free events, if you use Eventbrite, it integrates so seamlessly. It's lovely. And then it tags people depending on the workshop that they come to. So it's quite nice, actually. And then other ideas for email signups. So it can be as simple as an email signature. It can be on all of your invoices. It can be on social media, simply saying sign up for our newsletter, but tell people what they're going to get out of it. So not just sign up and go, what am I going to get? You got to still add a little bit of that lead magnet in there, sign up and get a discount code, sign up and get our free industry report. It can be like a QR code that you put somewhere. It could be if you've got a retail shop or a customer facing organization, you could have QR codes on the door. So if you happen to be closed, people can sign up, or even it could be they sign up for your social media. And then you can do paid social as well. So this one gets a little bit more expensive, but it is an option if that's something that you want to do. All right, segmenting. How's everyone feeling so far? Chris has got to run to another meeting. I'll see you later. You'll get the recording. Questions so far? No, we're good. We're feeling good. We're feeling good. Okay, segmenting. Thank you, Christine. There's a pulse. Thank you. Okay, so segmenting takes that big audience and it makes it into smaller groups. And it can be smaller groups as in different preferences that they've signed up for. It can be e-commerce activity. It can be the last time they opened a newsletter. So I'm going to show you an example because it's easier to see examples. I think anyways. I think examples. Okay, so when you're in Mailchimp, all the other ones have this too, segments, and I'm going to say create a segment. And then I just want you to see the options that you can organize people by. So I'm just going to kind of leave it here for a second. So we could do birthdays. This is where it gets interesting. We can do how often they open emails, if they're opening or not, if they have ordered anything, what they've ordered, when they ordered. And for me, I don't sell a lot e-commerce. I do online training, so it's somewhat limited. But think if you sell a physical good, or you have bookings, what store you ordered from. Let's go, actually, I always pick the wrong one. Email interaction. Okay. So email interaction, they opened any of the last 5 campaigns. Email action, they did not open the last 5 campaigns. So now you can start to target people who are very active with you. Maybe they're opening everything, or they're not opening anything. Where'd you go? What's happening? Are you okay? How many people have received an email like that? Hey, we haven't heard from you in a bit. This is, a similar tool that they're using. You can get even creepier, as I would say. So they did not click anything. So they opened your email, but they didn't click anything. So then you can go through and any of these options, or it can be specific to a certain email. For anyone doing, if there's e-commerce, amounts spent more than or less than dollars. So if you run e-commerce, I want to send it to my high spenders. All right, let's make a group of you and send it off. Or I want to send it to someone who's never made an online order. Now, the thing here is the integration is happening. So take your e-commerce platform and layer it with Mailchimp. So this information is up to date. You don't have to go to one and say upload and back and forth. It's doing it automatically. So if someone purchased something slightly before you sent this email out, it's all going to update. So all of that is happening in the background to make that email as custom as you need it to be. Okay. So you can add, I believe it's up to 5 different parameters. So more than, I'll say 5, and then you can add another one. More than $5, and their birthday month is January. Okay. So you can add 5 of these to get really, really niche. And that's where it gets fun. Okay. So they can look like this. So potential customers, repeat customers. And that's what I was saying. They have not purchased. So you want to get in front of them. And like I said, these are some of the ways to segment. So thinking about your own organization, your own business, how can you re-engage people, or how can you get in front of the people who have engaged with you the most? Because sometimes we spend a lot of time focusing on, like, why hasn't Vish opened my email and Wendy hasn't opened my email? When in fact, let's reward Christine for always opening our emails because we love her, rather than fighting to get people who maybe have lost interest with us. So look at both sides of that equation. All right, so campaigns versus journeys. Oh, Christine has a question. Chris, can you set up the tags to tag people automatically? Yes, you can. Depending on the landing page that you do, or how the integration is set up. So different landing pages or different sign-up sources, you can assign different tags. So let me see. So I'll explain what I do in a second. Forms, surveys. So something that I do is when somebody signs up, they get a questionnaire, and then it tells me, and you probably are like, oh, I got that and I didn't fill that out. That's okay. What you're interested in. So depending on what people click here, they get tagged a certain way. So it's this person's interested in Facebook, this person's just interested in Instagram. So you can tag in that format. So that's one of the ways. The next way I'll show through a journey. So you can do it. They sign up, they do a survey, or this is the second option. Okay. So your campaign is those regular emails that you're sending. So when you think campaign, it's the email that is sent that says, come buy our pants or come book an appointment with us. So it's a regular email. It can also be tied to an automation. And those automations are called journeys. And this is sometimes where people get a little bit nervous because there's a lot happening on here. So with journeys, this is kind of the beauty of this. So you've collected all this information about your customers. How can you automate the process? So you can see at the top here, somebody has signed up to a newsletter. This is where you could tag them and say they've signed up for a newsletter in this way. So Facebook campaign 1, or they signed up for it and it was um, from a QR code. So depending on where they're coming from, you can assign them here what they want to be. So these journeys allow you to add holds, kind of start and go moments. So in this case, they signed up within an hour. They get an email that says, welcome to our email. You know, here's a coupon code. So all of this can be customized. So this says 1 hour, but it could be immediately. It could be 5 days from now. So depending on your customer and what you want to achieve and what you've promised to them, you can customize this. So you can say 1 hour or immediately. And then within here, you can send them emails. So going back to your original campaigns, it could say, welcome, here's your discount code, here's your free white paper. So these can all be very much customized. The easiest one to explain is birthday emails. And I have a client, and one of their goals was to get a kind of an automated birthday email. So they just have it set at the beginning of the month. So it gives people time to make their purchase, and also realizing we sometimes get a lot of emails around our birthday and things get lost. So we have it set up. I think it's 5 days before their actual birthday, they get a coupon code. And at one point last year, she said to me, she's like, I don't know how you make the time to send those emails out every single day. And I said, I don't. I just made an automation that says 5 days before, client's birthday, they get the birthday email and then the follow-up. And she's like, oh, I was wondering how you did that. But it's set up, and it just runs in the background now. So I said I do it once, not 365 times, which is a little bit more efficient. But the birthday ones is the most common, followed by the welcome emails. Lead magnets are kind of those common pieces that you see. And I just want to show you some other options in here. Okay. And I believe with the most basic Mailchimp, I think you get one. So you could do a welcome, you could do a lead magnet. But when you want multiple, then you'll have to pay a little bit more dollars. So these are some of the more common ones that I see people use. So welcoming people, anyone with e-commerce. So if you've ever put stuff in a cart and you're like, I know they're going to send me a coupon code in a day, it's fine. So I want the 15% off. So they've got these recovered carts because they know, and they know. And but that's how this happens. I'm trying to see. And as you're going through, you can probably see all the different logos. So if it's triggering any ideas, then great. Custom audiences. So there's the birthdays. I'll just show you what this looks like. That's fine. I don't know why this is so big. Okay. So this is what a birthday journey would look like. So choose a date. So we've got birthday days before, so we can do 5 days before their birthday. Create a special email. So it looks just like you're creating a regular email. Who's it to, from, subject, happy birthday, schedule, which means every day as it happens. And then you can start a template, which is as easy as making a new campaign, remove, delete action. And then you can add the tag here. So they received birthday offer. So you can see who has actually received it. And then you can customize this. So I always like to joke, if you liked OAC or grade 13 math and the finite math, this is like where you can really shine in Mailchimp. I've aged myself now. So you have the if then scenarios. You have waiting for certain triggers. So maybe it's a time frame or the customer has to do something. There's time delays. So 1 week, 1 hour. So you can kind of customize how much you want there. Different actions that you want to do. So it could be a text if you're collecting text messages, it could be emails, it could be surveys, different tags. Okay. So all of those are in here as well. So you can really modify this to what you want it to do. Another one that is commonly used is, let's go pre-built. Pre-built ones honestly work really well. You can tweak them a little bit, but they get you like 90% of the way there. So if this is of interest, start with the pre-built and then kind of adjust from there. So welcome series. So another phrase that is commonly used for this is like drip campaigns. So people say, oh, I heard about this drip campaign, or this consultant told me about drip campaigns. It's really this. It's not magic. It's an automation in a newsletter. So they've signed up for social media. And see how it gets complicated if you like these tree diagrams. So if they made a purchase, or it could be they opened something, they did a certain action. Yes, they did this. Then they get this email. No, they didn't. Then they get a different email. Then they enter the campaign. After 5 days, they get an email of our best sellers. And next week, they get another email about us. How many people have been on this drip campaign? Like you're like, every week they're sending me something, this drip campaign, quote unquote. And then you finally exit. And then you're probably on to a different campaign after that. But that's really what those are. And honestly, something like this template will get you 90% of the way there. And then you tweak it ever so slightly to make it your own. So it doesn't have to be complicated. Sorry, my microphone's in the way. Okay. So let's just talk about a few little tips. That's kind of, we close off the session. Oops. All right. So keep it simple. What's in it for the person signing up for your newsletter? And a lot of people will initially say, oh, well, I'll give them a discount. What are your margins like to give them a discount? For those of you in the medical professional, I don't know about freebies, but I don't know if you're allowed to give away freebies. Christine's saying no. So you got to get a little bit more creative to say, what do customers really want that they would actually sign up to get my newsletter? What can I give them? What can I provide to them? So this example, yes, is Kate Spade, little slightly bigger, brand than me. But they have the 15% off, and then it looks like they've got free shipping. Well, that's really easy to do when you're a big brand. So how can you bring it down to a smaller business perspective? And it might be that simple white paper. It might be a webinar that you've done. It might be, something small. You don't have to give away free things all the time. You will train your customers, and that's not a good thing sometimes. Clear and catchy. One of the biggest faults that I see with newsletters is people try to say too much in a newsletter. I've often referred to it as it's the old Christmas letters mom and dad used to send in the 80s and the 90s, where it's like 3 pages of information. You're like, I can't read this all. This is like way too much. So what is the one piece of information that you want your customers and clients to know? That's what you should send. Don't bury the lead with 100 other things. So this one, it's just online grocery shopping, get points. Very simple, very simplistic. And you think, oh, but that's like Loblaws and they can do that. No, you can be very simple as well. That it doesn't have to be complicated. So keep it concise, and you're going to get more click-through traffic. You're going to get more reaction from it. And that's how I design newsletters as well. One of our clients does coffee roasting, and it's like, here's a coffee, here's the coffee, you can buy it, done. Like, it's just, and they get really good traffic on it because that's all they're focusing on. They're not getting into all these other things. Again, it's that one message. So this is an old one. It's from 2020 when I was reviewing the session, the workshop beforehand. I feel like it's still relevant though. But it's the, what do you want people to take action on? You think, okay, I'm going to make a newsletter. What do I want to get out of it? What do I want people to do? Book, buy, read something, watch something. Once you figure that out, that's how you design the newsletter. It's not go book over here and then watch this video and then, check out our partners over here. You've lost them. Keep it very simple, keep it very concise. So here we've got a picture of maple buckets, register. That was the whole newsletter. Okay, best days and time. What do you think the best days and times are for sending newsletters? What do we think? Is there an answer? Am I just asking this? Is there a better day? No one's brave enough. That's probably fair. Depends on the people who've signed up. Well, Christine's been to my sessions before. Good answer. So I think it totally depends. There are some stats about optimal days of the week. So Monday through Friday seem to work okay, which, really narrows things down. Here's the top 5 days out of 7. So they're not drastically different. Same things with time of day. I'm honestly really surprised to see the 10 a.m. spike. What is that? 10 a.m., 11 a.m. Maybe. But honestly, it has to do with what you're saying, what you're selling, what service you're offering to determine best days and times. In terms of, our clients and what we see, I've got clients sending first thing in the morning, 7:15 on certain days, 8 a.m. on certain days. Other clients are midday, kind of end of the week, based on the habits. So what you can do in your own business is try a few different days and times and see what works best. And then stick with that routine to develop that ongoing plan. Okay. So we had 48 minutes. And now you can ask your questions. So Christine's already got one. She's first in the queue. If I'm sending a newsletter with the upcoming workshop in combo with education, is that too much? Okay. So that's a good question. So is it the, I can't remember, prenatal? Is that, no, it's not prenatal. It's, you're kind of not, postpartum. Thank you. The wrong side of that one. Okay. Postpartum. So Christine's asking, can I have a workshop and blogs in there too? So I think this would work really well. So you're going to promote your workshop. And then if you've written a blog about basically what the workshop's on. So postpartum, it might be stretches, it might be, physiotherapy for postpartum. And then in the blog, you can update it actually to say, visit or register for our upcoming workshop. And then once the workshop's done, you can take that out of the blog. So even if they only end up on the blog, they're still going to see it, or they can just register straight away. Yeah. So that's what I would say. Good question. Any other questions from the group? You were very active today. It was lovely. It's nice to have people to talk to and questions to answer. Okay, can I set up my campaigns based on a particular location? Yes, so you can. There are discrepancies based on address. So depending on IPs, Mailchimp may know or may not know where people are. Alternatively, you can always ask people where they are and they're tagged. So you could do it either way. It can be location-based, always understanding there's room for error. But alternatively, you could just simply ask based on location. People can tag, they're in Canada, they're in Japan, they're in, USA, wherever they are. So you could do it both. Yep, you could do it either way. That's a good question. Any other questions? How many should you send in a month? Great question. So I have, there's a few of our clients that we send weekly, but they also have that much in terms of new stock, new products, promotions that they are sending weekly emails. They continue to get good open rates. Their open rates are anywhere from, high 30s to 50%, which I think is excellent. If I ever noticed a drop off in that, then I'd probably pull back a bit. If you're a service provider, I'm going to pick on Christine because she does physiotherapy. It might be once a month, maybe, or every other week, because it's not like there's a ton of new stuff happening unless Christine decides, hey, we're going to be doing weekly workshops or webinars, and there's more happening, as opposed to just, I hope you hurt yourself, come get some physiotherapy from me, which is not necessarily the case. So part of it's going to depend on what your offerings are, the amount of new information that you're going to be sharing. So Sandy, for you, for your operations, it could be weekly because you are retail. So you could do weekly, every other week would be okay as well. That's a good question. Is it possible to adjust the dimensions of the templates? You can do, so you can use the campaigns as set from Mailchimp, or if you code, you can create your own code for the campaigns as well. So when you are designing any of the campaigns, you can view it on desktop. So if somebody's opening it on a desktop computer or a laptop, but then you can also preview it as it would look like on a mobile device. So then you can make any tweaks associated with that. In Mailchimp, you have the opportunity to play around with the code at any point. So if you want to get in there and adjust, you can. In terms of customer base, how many? So Loveland, in terms of customers, the Mailchimp free account, you have 500 contacts for free. Yeah, so anything over 500, then you'll have to pay for it. Are you able to set a segment for what purchase? Yep. So yeah, those segments you definitely can do. So what was purchased and then the time. Yeah, you can do that. All right. Jillian, you've got a question?
So I currently work for my local church, and then because my target audience is young adults, there's only like 30 people. So
Yep.
we've been just manually emailing people. So if I want to utilize Mailchimp, how does
Yep.
that work in terms of taking those pre-existing emails and putting them into Mailchimp, or do I have to start all over?
That's a good question. So what you can do is, number one, you can ask them. You can send an email. I always call it like the final email that you're sending in the normal way, like that you're currently doing, and say, please sign up here to
Okay.
continue getting our newsletters. Or it could be as simple as please respond and say yes, because then you've got that paper trail
Mhm.
that they've said, yes, I continue, I want to get these newsletters, but just let them know it's going to be in a new format. You're
Okay.
just going to say nothing's going to change. It's just going to be different. We just want to kind of adhere to everything we need to so they can sign up on their own. Or you can just say respond yes, and then you can manually add them. And then you have to, after that point, then you're done. No more emailing them the old way. Then you're going to move over to your email platform.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? And if not, another really good session. So thank you everyone for attending. Thank you so much for your questions. I really love having all of this interaction. Our next webinars that we have that Vish has put into the chat, I have one coming up in partnership with All Care IT, cyber resilience. So we're going to be talking about keeping your businesses safe online. So I'm going to be talking about the social media email marketing side of it. And then my colleague Laura is going to be talking about the web side of it. So that one's free. That one's coming up in April. And then I have another one on LinkedIn that's coming up in May. So feel free to join those, and Vish has put them in the chat. And then if you want to leave us a Google review, Vish is reminding me, there's a Google review link that she has dropped in the chat. Awesome. Thank you everyone for attending.